All right, welcome to another episode of Let There Be Talk. We have it's a new music Monday today with band Pleasure Pill. Let's welcome them to the show. Introduce yourself, my man.
My name's Jonah Paz. I'm the singer in Pleasure Pill.
From San Diego, right?
Yeah, San Diego, yeah.
That's crazy to think about. Like I always think about San Diego. The only band I ever thought about that came really out of there was Stone Temple Pilots, right?
Yeah, we got that. We got Blink
Oh,
182
are
is
they San
from
Diego?
they're from Rancho Bernardo, which is kind of like northeast San
Right,
Diego.
right.
We're in Chula Vista, which is like 10 minutes from the border and stuff. So um but Chula Vista, you got POD. POD's from Chula Vista, and then Tom Waits is from Chula Vista as well.
Tom
So
Waits. Well, I count him as strictly Bay Area. And
yeah,
so,
but he went to Hilltop High School, which is like 5 minutes away from me. So
wow,
got to show out for that.
absolutely. I mean, he's the all-time king. I think
Yeah,
Bone Machine, Mule Variations, those two back to back are some of the greatest records ever made.
yeah. You gotta tip your cap up to him for sure. Yeah, and just when you hear about someone like that coming from a similar place that you are, it's really motivating and just inspiring.
I mean, I started thinking about it, and it's so bizarre that there's like really no bands out of San Diego. I mean, you go down there, you got the belly up, and you've got a couple places to play and stuff. But how did you guys? Did you just start playing like parties and coffee shops and stuff?
Yeah. So we kind of all, at least for me and my brothers in the band as well, we kind of come from like punk rock roots and stuff. And our parents were kind of going to shows in the 90s and stuff as well in San Diego. And just yeah, when we started going to shows, it was just kind of at like rec centers and like Mexican restaurants that would like let us play and kind of stuff like that. And then yeah, I mean San Diego is one of those cities where it's kind of like, is it an A market city for music? Is it like a where does it kind of fall? And I think there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of things that like seep through the cracks like any city and stuff like that. So it's just I try to stay as present as I can and whatnot and see what's going on, always curious.
Well, in this day and age, you could kind of be from anywhere with the social media and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok.
Mhm.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, back in the day, if you lived in San Diego, you would have to drive all the way up to LA and
Yeah.
play gigs and then drive back and you play like once a month or whatever. But
Yeah.
now you can just, have a gig, do some clips, put them out and catch some traction.
Yeah. It's the internet has definitely kind of democratized music in that way, in the sense of like you don't really need to come from New York City or LA anymore, and you can kind of try to figure your way through the internet and stuff. I think our band, we try to be on the internet. I think everyone has to be on the internet nowadays. I think it's kind of you just kind of have to do it. But we try to make our mark with playing live and touring and putting out music really, and just doing that much. Yeah.
Now, how old are you guys?
I'm 25. Um, what are the ages? I think my brother's 22, the drummer's 22, guitar player's 27, and bassist is 24.
The reason I ask is, I was around during that first kind of Oasis, Blur, the
Yeah.
Verve, and I
Hmm.
saw I saw all those bands, and I was heavily, heavily into them. But now with your band, obviously, a heavy influence is Oasis.
Hmm.
So this would be, kind of the third wave because Oasis is influenced obviously by the Beatles.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you get into that vibe because you're probably too young to have been around when they first explode.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess with that whole, and it's a, yeah, I always have to like kind of think about that just because it's like, yeah, why, how did I kind of fall into that or whatnot? But like I said, like our parents definitely had an influence. Like they were going to punk stuff and like hardcore shows and stuff like that. But their community that they grew up in was just full of music lovers, and they loved the Bad Brains as much as they loved Morrissey and The Cure and bands like Oasis as well. And then when I started getting into music for myself, when the first band for me was the Beatles, and I think just having and it was so much a part of my youth for me that I was kind of teaching my parents about the Beatles a little bit, just because it kind of skipped their generation a little bit. But for me as a little kid, I was like fully into it, so they were kind of learning from that. And I think the Beatles matched with punk rock roots kind of equals Oasis and the Verve and like stuff like that. So it's kind of how I explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, when I was growing up, it was you were either a Beatles or a Stones guy, which is
Yeah.
interesting because they're both fantastic, but it took me a long time to get into the Beatles. Of course, I love the drug era of the Beatles,
Mm,
Sergeant Pepper's all the way out to like Let It Be and stuff. And I
yeah.
love the rooftop concert and all of that. But I just didn't like the early poppy Beatles of,
Hmm.
that the suits and everything. But now, I dig into all of it because
Yeah.
there's so much a body of work in such a short time. It's crazy to think about the songwriting. Um,
Right. That's the thing that kind of blows. I think that's the thing that people don't think about the most with them is that it wasn't a 20-year career band. It was really from 63 to 69. And George Harrison was like 27 when it was all done, so
yeah,
they were really quick, and they were also really young, and it was it's pretty remarkable, just the impact and the quality and quantity that they're able to produce, really. Yeah.
it's a weird era of music where I was reading you guys started in 2019.
Mm.
And at one point, you go to New York, you start doing a residency, which really reminded me of the early days of the Strokes.
Hmm.
That's really how they got it going. Besides, back then, everybody would go to Europe, the Strokes, Kings of Leon, all those bands, yeah, yeah, yes, and really make their mark there. But it's I'm reading how you're doing this residency and then every label was hot on it and then
Hmm.
COVID hits and then they all disappear. What was the other than they got cold feet of like, oh, we're watching out what we signed, but that's kind of a bullshit excuse sometimes from them. What was the cold feet about?
Really, what and also just the timeline was because we went to the residency was last year,
Gotcha.
that we did that. And then the band, I've been writing music for, I mean, I've been in bands since I was like 13 and 14 and stuff. But the start of Pleasure Pill was kind of like a loose ended kind of thing post COVID and whatnot. And I think back to your question, I think what we kind of see post COVID and music and stuff is, labels don't really, they're not interested in developing artists. They're
No.
interested in kind of picking from the crop of people and bands that have done all the work themselves already, and like have cultivated the fan base, and have people buying music and going to shows already. And then the labels, they just want to kind of pick from that. So what we kind of experience, and also for context, like before this band, there was no like, the idea of the music industry for me was like a complete hypothetical. Like I was, we were playing nowhere and making no money and not interested in making money or doing anything with it really. Um, but yeah, it's just they so they don't develop, they don't really, you kind of still have to bring in your own PR people and your own management and stuff like that. So they really just kind of take off the top, and it's just kind of useless for them at this point, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, really, this is how the meetings go.
Hmm.
The guy goes, "Oh man, I heard this band Pleasure Pill." And then the guy goes, "Yeah, let's look
Hmm.
them up." And they go to the
Yeah,
internet and they go, 5,000 followers. Next.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Yeah, and
don't,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what we experienced like really, really early on with this band, because it was just like it was pretty it was pretty just like we started the band playing kind of in San Diego, and then I don't even really remember like why or how things started going for us, but it was one A&R and then the next A&R, and they were all kind of like doing the game and kind of going to the shows and keeping in touch with us. And then it was kind of it switched for us of kind of being like, oh, these motherfuckers, like they just have a leash on us. They're not really interested. They're just like waiting until we do all the work, and then they'll go from there. But it's a crazy game. It's a doggy dog world. People get theirs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a comedian. I played music before,
Yeah.
and I've seen the similarities are insane.
Hmm.
Sometimes they come around, they're red hot. And I
Yeah.
said this when I started comedy. In the first couple of years, I kind of had a buzz like, oh, this old guy started. He's 44 and he's
Mm.
out there killing it. And then
Yeah.
if you don't get something right away, you're in for the long haul because
Hmm.
they're going to go away. And then you're either going to sink or swim. And that's when you
Yeah.
really find out who's really in it for for themselves and not like, oh
Right.
God, I hope I get a deal.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's and it's interesting. And I did the decency. I watched some stuff of yours and I really enjoyed it. I like the Beatles documentary bit. That was cool. I like that too. The George just eating fucking toast or something, it's crazy. But I try to stay kind of involved with comedy as well, just because it is cut from the same cloth, and it is people like us who no rhyme or reason, but they're live and die by the sword, and they'll do it at all costs and kind of do it on their own, and it's structured the same way too. It's like you kind of spend a year and a half, writing your special, rehearsing it, doing it, playing it live, and then you kind of put it out a year and a half after. You're also touring a bunch, you kind of have the same media kind of presence and obligations to like do like the internet in a certain way. So I like listening to comedians and like hearing their take on their world, and it's comforting because it kind of feels like ours as well.
I look at it as just kind of like you're saying, like labels are just looking at the numbers. If you explode on the internet, let's say you get a couple million followers and you're selling
Mhm.
out everywhere,
Yeah.
is there a reason to be on a label?
Yeah, I mean, I one, I wouldn't know, and then two, I wouldn't see necessarily how. I mean, for me, especially because we have a record coming out end of this month, and it's with like an independent label, a la carte records and stuff, great people, and but it's really, I don't think it's like to it's hard to put like the blanket over like all labels, because it's like there are people doing good stuff for the right reasons, and like I feel like we're with those people right now. And but it's just, like in any industry, it's just the suits that just fuck it up for everyone. It's just they think they have the upper hand at this thing, but it's like, if you don't have me, you don't have anything. So it's interesting. It's crazy. I try not to like really. I think there's better things to think about for me. It's like, because for me, I'll go in like a wormhole with it, and be like real pitchfork, just like angry at the sky, if I think about it for too long.
Yeah, yeah. other than the Beatles, who else were you starting to listen to early on? And then once you start Pleasure Pill, how do
Mhm.
you find the other guys that are into the same stuff that are your age? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So the Beatles kind of came in like first grade-ish for me, and it was like a really big obsession. And then it kind of turned into, well, like at the same rate, that's with like I said, my parents kind of exposing my siblings and I to like a lot of, like I knew who Morrissey was when I was like 3, and fucking, all the bands that I feel like people find when they're in high school, it was kind of given to me. But it was the Beatles, and then I think I went to like AC/DC, and then when I found the Ramones, it was like, oh, this is like, I think it's kind of like punk rock, like my parents liked, and then that turned into really being into hardcore and punk rock, like traditional punk rock. And then that was kind of all of high school for me, like I was touring when I was like 14, 15 with my first bands and sleeping in fucking basements and, the whole thing. And then once I guess like late high school and college is when I really started writing more and just trying to be consistent with writing and not take it leisurely anymore as well, like really putting myself to like timelines and, being diligent with it. And then with that, my songwriting kind of, I just feel like grew into just being more just traditional rock and roll music. And I was, at the time too, I kind of transitioned from being like a punk rocker to like a mod, so I was like, I had the short haircut with my parka and the Fred Perry polo and shit, and was listening to the Jam and the Kinks and stuff like that. So, and then yeah, that's kind of really where Pleasurable came into play. I really just kind of wanted to be like a garage mod kind of band, and do that, and then just kind of took a couple turns and became what it was.
And then what'd you do? You put out stuff on the internet looking for guys into
Right, yeah. So, and then all the guys in the band were just kind of friends. So my brother is in the band. I've been playing with my brother for about 10 years ish. And then the drummer in the band, we met from skating. Like he lives like 5 minutes away from us, and just we would go to the same skate park when we were like 11 to like 16, 17, and just be hanging out. And then the other two guys, just through shows and stuff, just through going to shows. Um, and yeah, yeah, it was really just that, no ads or anything like that, just kind of like going and picking the guys that I think I could do it.
it's interesting, brothers in the band. I mean,
Hmm.
there's totally it's an obvious, like I said, it's kind of like, and I'm not comparing it, but you got a Greta Van Fleet. When they came out, they were Zeppelin, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then, I watch you guys, I understand what it is right away. It's
Hmm.
some Oasis, some Verve, but there is some great songwriting there and great hooks, and that's really what the Verve and Oasis were all about. Like "Don't Fly Away," your video, that's a
Oh,
monster hooky song,
oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
So, do you think that it's going to be a common reoccurring story of "Hey Oasis, hey Oasis"? I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to knock people over the head of what it is. And then by your next record, which would be your third if you counted the live record, it would be like,
Mhm.
this is kind of really what we are now.
Yeah. I think and the Oasis thing we get a fair amount for sure. The other day Liam tweeted at us.
Really?
Yeah. So someone from Portland, we were just on tour. Someone from Portland tweet or took a photo of us, tweeted it to him, and was like, "What do you think of this band?" Like, just curious, because look at them. And I
Yeah.
had my I had my John Lennon shirt on and doing the tambourine, like it was. really happening. And he just put they look dangerous. So
Holy
that's a
shit.
thumbs up. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's cool. But I think so for our band, I feel like our main goal is to just kind of, like a band like Oasis and The Strokes or Nirvana or something, these like explosive, ginormous like bands that like change culture and like move people. Like it's really it's really a folk tale for my generation and anyone after me, because there hasn't really been a band or even really a pop artist that has like really switched the culture around like that for me at least, and that kind of represents everyone, and that kind of comes from everyone and isn't like from Netflix or like Disney Channel or Rich Dad or something like that, like just kind of everyday people. And I just feel like what we try to do is, we come from the people and we just try to uphold like the traditions of rock and roll that like, people aren't really doing right now. And I think with that, since people aren't so educated, at least my generation, it seems like with what rock and roll can be, I think they kind of have very limited reference points like Oasis or, whoever it may be. And they put it to that, which I'm fine with, and I love. And if there's a band to be compared to, like, I'd rather be compared to Oasis than fucking, Mac DeMarco or something. But yeah, I think where we fall into place is just trying to continue that education for people and just like kind of let people be interested in us, and then through us, kind of they learn more about other bands and stuff like that.
Well, when the Strokes came out, I mean, right away, it's a lot like you guys. I know where it came from.
Hmm.
The Strokes were TV,
Yeah.
television, they were
Yeah.
Lou Reed,
Hmm.
and but it was also very dangerous. And at a time when rock, they really brought rock back, leather
Yeah.
jackets, you
Yeah.
know. So there is a need for that.
Hmm.
And it does help at first to have a reference to people,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then grow from there.
Yeah, and I do like it would be a different story if like we were just kind of like I like if you ask me, I don't I think our music sounds more like I think we kind of lean more, if we're going to be specific, I think we lean more like Primal Scream kind of meets like yeah, the Verve and stuff like that, and like the Brian Jones Sound Massacre we really like as well, and bands like that. But yeah, yeah, it's just, I love rock and roll and we all do, and it really just is about showing people like what that can be, and it can come from people like you and I, not just some, you know, random rich person or something.
Who's the songwriters? You and your brother?
I write it all.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do the music, I do the lyrics and the melody and the whole nine, and then I'll just write every day pretty much, and then just kind of compile ideas, and then once something's like really sitting with me kind of full, then that's when I'll show the band, and that's when it will really take form, you know what I mean? Because like I'm just writing with voice memos in my acoustic, and then writing a bass line on a acoustic guitar, and like not even really knowing if it's going to work or not, but once I take it to the band, we kind of just flesh it out, and everyone puts their identity into it, and it becomes Pleasure Pill.
When you guys were doing the residency in New York, how long was it and where was it? And how did you guys record it live? Did you bring in some kind of a guy that just set up an outboard gear? What happened there?
Yeah, so we played, the residency was at Heaven Can Wait, which is Lower East Side, like right across the street from Tompkins Park and stuff. I think it went under. I don't think it exists anymore.
Right.
I think yeah. But so we recorded the live album. We played there in May of last year on tour, and we recorded the live album. We just showed up. It was like one of our only headlines for that tour. And we just showed up and the sound guy was like, also, like, if you guys want to record your set, it's $75. And we were just like, yeah, okay. Like I just out of like I can't we're not able to watch ourselves play, so we were just like, yeah, I want to hear it, we're in the car 15 hours a day, like it'd be fun to hear. And so we did it, and then we were just like, oh, this would be rad to just put out and just have, because we're such a live band and people, I feel like people really get turned on by us by seeing us live and hearing us live and stuff like that. And then I think it was like we were set to put it out, and then the venue was like, oh, we should do a residency for a month in September, and you guys play every Monday. And there was 5 Mondays in September, and we played them, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun.
Now, were you guys flying in for that or staying in New York? Because that's fucking pricey to stay in New
Yeah,
York.
we it was pricey. It wasn't over the hill. We were able to, because we had so much time to kind of book things. We found a place in Flatbush that was pretty far from the venue. And it was like $2,200 or something for 6 dudes, and it was pretty much just like a fucking basement, and it had like no windows and just 2 rooms and 2 beds in each, and then like a pull-out couch and like an air mattress. And we just lived there for the month, and like yeah, just I mean, New York is crazy, and we lived it up and had a good time, and was fully everything we could have thought of. But yeah, it was cheap, but not any luxury or like comfort or something like that. It was pretty punk rock, pretty bare bones, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's brutal playing a gig on Monday and then just being in New York for 6 more days until you play again. You got
Yeah, yeah.
you got to figure
Yeah,
out how to eat, what to do. You're just sitting around going, "Fuck, when are we
it's,
playing again?"
yeah, it was quite a I mean, yeah, it was pretty epic and insane. We spent the other 6 days really just going to shows, and like we played the first show, and we it was like the day after we landed, and we are all like fucked up and like fucking crazy. And we also, that first show, we had to like, because we play with like big Marshall stacks and stuff like that, and we found our manager had a friend who had one, I think, and we had to like go all the way to fucking I don't even know where, and like take this fucking Marshall amp on the train, and just like it was insane. We looked fucking wild. But the other 6 days we would just go to shows, and we realized we're like, if we're gonna like really make these things big and important, like we need to start letting people know about these shows. And we just every day we printed out like 100 flyers and just went to shows and passed them out and talked to people and like let people know about the shows. And it worked to our advantage because people were really into it, and got to the shows inevitably. So
Now the record comes out June 27th, Hang a Star.
yeah.
And when did you guys record that and where at?
So we recorded that. It took us twice. It took us 2 times to try to record it. We did it the first time in 2023, I think, or something, and it was shelved for a little bit just because it wasn't done, and we started traveling a little bit more. And then it just kind of got tricky with the first fellow that we were recording with, just like schedule wise, like we were gone or he was gone, and we were like, it was really close to being done. And then as time went on, we were just like, well, we could just like do it again and just kind of start fresh. And so that decision, we started recording it last summer, actually like a year ago, I think. That's crazy to think about, but last summer, and we recorded it pretty much like we did the whole record and a couple other songs that didn't make it on the record. We did it in a weekend, just like a live recording, like as it would be live. And then we just spent like months and months of just like layering and overdubbing guitars, like each song probably has like fucking 50 guitars on it, and it's just insane. But we wrapped it all up, like mixing it all in January, I think, or something, and we just recorded it at our friend Eric. He has a studio that's actually the you have to take the last USA exit to get to his studio, that's like that close to the border.
Wow.
Um, and we would just go there and do it up. And he's a really close friend, and he mixed it, he recorded it, he did the whole thing, and it was really a labor of love for everyone involved, and a true like do-it-yourself experiment to the fullest extent for sure.
Have you guys opened for any big bands yet?
So we are wrapping up tour right now with Benches, which is they're also from San Diego. They're actually from Chula Vista-ish, like where we're from. And the shows were great. I mean, we were playing like last night we played the Echoplex, which was
Oh,
like a
that's here in
yeah,
my wait in LA?
yeah.
Fuck.
I
Dude,
can't believe no one told you.
no one
I
fucking
thought,
told me. It's like literally like 5 blocks from me, dude.
damn it.
And
Yeah, it was.
also the first place I ever saw Rival Sons years ago.
Oh, neat. Oh, wow.
What?
Damn.
I can't
Shit.
fucking
What a
believe it.
fucking fumble. Jesus Christ. We fucked up.
Absolutely, man.
Someone's getting the hammer.
I would have went to that in 1 minute because I had no, I was off last night. I didn't even have a fucking show.
That's so
Unbelievable.
funny. That's funny. Yeah, but so they're doing really great right now. The shows that were just so packed, and really just I mean, we're both from San Diego, so it just really feels like so special to be representing in that way and like doing the country, and from two San Diego bands. It's great. But last year we toured with this band, Late Night Drive Home. They're like signed to Epitaph kind of thing and stuff like that. But we kind of, I think like on like more times than not, we're kind of just lingering with people we meet and through music, and like we had a short California thing with this guy Sid Simons, who is like from New York, who we met in New York, who's like, in New York he's playing like Irving Plaza and stuff like that. And we're
Great
just kind
band.
of, yeah, it was an amazing show, but we're just always trying to like commingle and just kind of like connect with other artists in that way, not through, like it's a little tricky when it's like an agent or something trying to like, oh, you should be with this band or something. It's like I don't really know that band, so
Yeah. 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 I think as much as you can get on stage is where it's at, you know?
without a doubt too, yeah, and that is priority for sure. Like we'll fucking play anywhere, we will. And we've played fucking anywhere. We've done our dues and kind of played the craziest of places already. And yeah.
Do the guys in the band have jobs? I mean, obviously there's no money right now. How
Oh yeah, yeah. We all work and stuff. I think Ethan, I think someone's working today. I think our drummer has work today. He does like HVAC. And Ethan does Starbucks, and I am a substitute teacher.
wow.
Yeah.
And are you guys back in San Diego right now?
Yeah, so we had it was last night LA, and then Santa Ana was before, and then San Diego's tonight. So tonight's the homecoming, and it's gonna be cool. But yeah, ever since Santa Ana we just kind of came home because like, it's only like 2 hours from us, so might as
Right.
well.
Yeah. God, I can't believe you guys played last night.
It was great, man. It was incredible, and I was up there really trying to, because all the stuff happening in LA right now, and just trying to represent and give people, the good word, and just motivate and inspire people to keep doing the right thing, It felt good. Felt really good last night.
Let's talk about the video Don't Fly Away. Who shot
Yeah.
this? Did you guys just do it on iPhones and stuff? These days it's so easy to make a video.
Yeah, yeah. So our friend Brandon Mascara, he did all the videos for this album. He's really done every video because he did a video last year as well for a single, but he's just a talented filmmaker, director guy, and same deal. Like just kind of met him through going to shows and like knowing people and yeah, just yeah, he was easy to work with and fucking kills it. Like his visuals are like some of the best out there for me, to be frank, like better than better than most I see. So just really proud to have him and whatnot. But yeah. Mm.
Now, a record comes out, Hang a Star, June 27th. You have some
Mm.
more tour dates put together?
They're getting wrapped up right now. They're kind of getting nothing's announced yet. But we will the next thing to be announced is we're gonna have a record release show on the 27th as well, and it's gonna be at the Whistle Stop in San Diego, and it's gonna be a benefit show for ICE detainees, and trying to give them resources and stuff like that. And the bar we're gonna play at, or the venue or whatnot, is like 2 weeks ago, like the beginning of our tour, there was like a raid in San Diego, and that bar is like a block away from where that all happened, and it's going to be a real good community moment for sure, and just really excited for that. So that gets announced tomorrow, Friday. It's probably going to be announced by whenever this comes out, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking crazy world right now, man.
Yeah, you're telling me.
It is. It is crazy. Uh, I mean, the longer you live, the more it's just what?
Yeah,
Each day
yeah.
you wake up, you're like, how the fuck are we going so backwards? You
Yeah.
know?
And
It's
also
insane.
Brian Wilson died. It's like on top of all that shit, I have to fucking deal with God himself leaving us. It's fuck.
Yeah,
It's
and
crazy.
Sly Stone, you
Yeah,
know?
and Sly Stone. It's like what the fuck is happening? But I just think yeah, because really on tour and seeing all this stuff and just kind of going through it like as everyone else was, it was just kind of figuring out like, okay, like where's my skin in this game, as like a musician, and like where do I fall into this? And I feel like our music is there's a lot of optimism in it and a lot of resilience, and like just kind of this like I'm gonna fucking do what I want no matter fucking what, and I don't care who's gonna like no one's gonna stop me kind of thing. And I think that's an important message right now, I mean, he really wants everyone to be kind of fearful of him and be worried of him and be kind of apprehensive to do their life, and to get on with what they're doing. And I think there's no we like to stand up to him and what he's doing to our country is just like it comes before anything, you got to. So I just try to, give what I believe and do the right thing, but also try to still provide people with escapism still, and just, because for me, I feel like that's what, you know, and like I said before, like with rock and roll traditions, like, standing up to the truth is as much of a tradition of rock and roll than, Marshall amps or denim jackets or something, it's the same shit. So yeah.
Well, we're lucky enough to grow up. I grew up in the Bay Area,
Mm,
San Francisco, and near San Diego,
yeah.
to be able to grow up around multicultural,
Right.
you know, areas
Mm,
and different races and sexualities and religions,
yeah.
that we don't have the small mind. And also, speaking of Sly and the Stone, I mean, Sly and the Family Stone, when you look at
Mm,
that band, I just look at that as like, that's California right there. You got
totally.
blacks, whites, women, everything in the band.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
to me, that is, right there, you go like, that's California, you
Right,
know?
right. Well, and
So,
that is the country as well, like, and I think that's, I mean, and the big thing I've been trying to like reiterate to my family and friends and community of people that kind of listen to us at this point, and it's like it's not really us against them, it's not people against people. It really needs to be us against him, and just because we all want the same thing. At the end of the day, maybe there's some discrepancies, obviously, but I think just we all want to have peace and freedom and a good life and a happy family and just being able to be prosperity and just the whole thing, and it's like I think he's just pitted all of us against each other, and now we're just too busy fucking screaming at each other when it's got to go up to the top, and um but yeah, and that's something I said last night too, is like, a night like this, a night of diversity and people coming from wherever the fuck is what he doesn't want, and it's important to not let go of that and to gather at all means necessary, So,
Yeah, man, it's people against the corporations. That's what it's got to
exactly.
be. That's
Yeah,
what,
yeah, exactly.
now, we talked a little bit about comedy at the top. You watch comedy. Who are your guys?
Oh man, I love Bobby Lee.
Oh
Bobby
yeah,
Lee's
hilarious.
cool. I
Yeah,
love Bobby Lee. I watch Bad Friends a lot. I met Bobby Lee quickly one time,
he's
and
San Diego.
he's from Poway, which is North County, but I was in Hawaii with my family a couple of years ago, kind of right when I was like getting into him for the first time. And we were like checking into our hotel, and then I'm like just sitting on the couch, and I see, and this is COVID too, so the masks were on and stuff. And then I just see like, I mean, it couldn't be no one else other than Bobby Lee like walk by, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I just instinctively was just like, Bobby Lee. And he just was like, what's up, bud? And then just left. And I was like, what the fuck happened? And then like a lady was following him or something, like maybe 10 steps behind him. And she was just like, that really was him, to me. And I was like, that was crazy. But Bad Friends, I love. I love, Two Bears is cool. I like Chappelle Lacey's cool. I like him a lot. Who else? Yeah, I just try to get involved. Theo Vaughn's cool. It's kind of tricking my head in a little bit with like the people he's having on his shows. But I like the open discussion as well, though, and I think that's like his intention and all power to him. But yeah, I just try to keep involved with things like that. Yeah,
Well, it's great for van rides for sure.
for sure. Yeah, because I like music, but it's tricky 8 hours in a row or something. So.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Yeah. I think Bad Friends is probably the top for me. They're silly.
Well, thanks for doing the podcast, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. This was so cool.
Yeah, and make sure these people tell me when you're playing in town again. I just can't even believe
I
that,
can't believe that either. What is that all about?
like,
Come
fucking
on.
5 blocks away from me, you know? Literally 5 blocks
Oh
away.
man. Damn it, dude.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Yeah.
be back. We'll be back in the summer for sure or something. So I'll let them know and whatnot.
But it was like a rare night off. I work like 7 nights a week and I'm always on tour. Last night would have been fucking gold, especially
Yeah.
before having you on today. But what are you gonna do? You
Where
know?
do you, so where do you, are you like just doing the club circuit in LA? Like where do you go usually when you perform?
Well, I go on the road pretty much every other weekend. Like tomorrow, I go
Oh,
to
cool.
Fort Collins, Colorado for 4 shows.
Oh, great. Oh,
And then
wow. That's awesome.
and then I go to Fort Worth, Texas.
Mm.
Last week I was in Arizona, but when I'm home, I do the Comedy Store and Flappers
Yeah. Oh,
and
cool.
and uh indie shows all over Silver Lake and Los Feliz and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I've popped into a comedy store in the Laugh Factory a bit in
Right.
LA. I sometimes the girlfriend and I will go to the La Jolla Comedy Store,
That
and
thing's great.
it's really fun, because like I'm not a comedian, so it's just nice to, because like when I go see bands, it's like it's hard to get that thing out of my brain of like being analytical and like thinking about what they're doing really, really intensely. And with comedy, it's like it just kind of hits you in the face and you can't even think about it, it just kind of comes. So I love doing that. that shit. I'll have to come out soon or something.
Oh, anytime I'll put you on the list.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
That's a funny thing too, because I was a front man for 25 years
Yeah.
and then became a comedian. But there's two different types of front man. You got the silent mystique guy that says maybe
Yeah.
two words the whole show. And then you got another guy that just rambles on and on and on too much. What front man do you possess? Like, are you a talker or
Here's Ethan too. Ethan, that he's in the band. That he's delivering coffee right now.
yeah?
But what front man am I? Let me think.
I
I
mean,
think
which one? What do you prefer when you go see a band? Like, like Jeff
oh yeah.
Buckley. I say
Yeah.
Jeff Buckley. His songs were super dark, but in between the songs, he was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. I think, as long as you just are given yourself, you can sniff it out a mile, millions of miles away, if like some phony guy, that's the worst. Or like,
That is the worst. It's like,
I'm not,
man,
yeah.
this crowd's the best we've had the whole tour. It's like,
No,
shut up,
no,
man.
no, no. And the way I approach being the front guy or whatever really is like I'm only ever trying to serve the music and like my only interest like I'm not fucking maybe every now and then I'll do my hands up and do the let's clap, if
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like sussing it out, if they're like I could tell they're
Stiff.
wanting some of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um but I fucking can't do this like call and response bullshit and this fucking backflipping off of pianos and shit. Like, fuck off. Like, what? This isn't the fucking circus, it's
Yeah.
fucking music. Like, either people are listening or they're not. And yeah, I'm just into people listening and looking. Like, I don't even need really people like jumping up at like it's not even about that for me. It's about the music, and just you can
Yeah.
just hear it, it's fine.
Well, I do a lot of shows with the phone bags, and
Mm.
I die for the day where every band has the phone bags. Some have them right now, like Jack White doesn't want phones and stuff.
Oh, phone bags. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
because
right. Yeah.
when I played rock, there were no phone bags. I mean,
Yeah.
there were no phones.
Yeah.
So that's what I loved about comedy so much when I started. Phones aren't allowed in the clubs. And
Mm.
I was kind of like, oh, fuck, people are engaged. This is
Yeah.
like an old school rock show. And,
Yeah.
Broadway plays and comedy shows are really the last to have no phones. And it's fucking beautiful.
Yeah. I think I can't remember. Actually, I think when I saw Bad Friends, there was a phone bag thing as well. I don't think we've ever played a place that enforces that. I would be curious to know what that would feel like because
It's so different, dude.
yeah, I mean, for me, really, I don't really know like I've never been to a show where people don't have their phones out, so it kind of is like just like it's like people having a beer in their hand or something for me. Like it's
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
get it. I
it's
get it.
like yeah, but there are definitely times where I feel the separation that the phone having out brings. But I feel that more when I'm like watching a band. Maybe
Right.
I think when I'm on stage, I think I just kind of am everywhere. But when I'm watching a band and then it's like the song comes on that everyone's waiting to film, and then everyone takes the phone out and everyone's getting the same video. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This is kind of just fucking strange. And it just lights up the whole fucking room. And it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I
It's
think
crazy to think about.
the big bands like say Kings of Leon, when
Yeah.
they go on, they should just play Sex on Fire first. Those people can leave and then carry on
Yeah.
with a proper show. You
Oh,
know,
yeah. You
they
should have
got
seen.
they
Yeah.
got their video. Look, here I am,
I'm
Sex
here.
on
Let's fucking.
Fire.
Well, what's so funny too is like, because I mean, at the same rate, I think we all, I'd fucking film "Sex on Fire" by Kings of Leon. You know what I mean? Like, I
Totally.
think we're all victim, but it's a thing of like, have I ever fucking watched this video ever again in my life? No. Like
Nope.
it doesn't fucking mean like you kind of just waste your time at the end of the day, unless you're like posting it on Instagram. But if you're like, even then, do you even look at that? Like, I don't even know. It's just
Yeah.
such a weird,
It's just a flex. I'm
yeah,
here and you're
yeah,
not.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, it's such a,
All right. Record's
man,
out.
yeah,
Record is out June 27th.
yeah,
Hang a Star. Live
yeah.
record is out right now, streaming everywhere. Heaven Can
Hmm.
Wait, live in New York City.
Hmm.
Band is Pleasure Pill. Get into
Yeah.
it. Go see them. Support it. And tell a friend. Thank you for doing the show, my man.
Thanks, Dean. It was
Ho-
awesome.
Hope to meet you soon and come see some comedy and hang out.
Yes, yeah, I'm gonna keep in touch and I'll try to be there on the next one or something.
Thank you, brother.
Cool. All right.
I'll see ya
See ya.
later.
Bye.